Chapter 2: How are communities different? All communities are not the same. In this chapter, you will learn about three types of communities. They are called urban, rural, and suburban. Cities are urban communities. Cities have lots of buildings and people. People often walk from place to place in a city. Sometimes they take a bus or a taxi, and many people ride trains from one part of the city to another. Some people drive cars. People live in apartments in cities. There might be 50 or more homes in an apartment building. Where do you live? Living in an urban community. Cities are exciting. There are many stores and restaurants in a city, and there are parks and playgrounds too. Sometimes cities are noisy, and cars honk their horns. People sing, babies cry, and dogs bark. There are crowds in a city, and there are a lot of people on the sidewalks. Stores and restaurants are busy places too. What do you like about cities? Small towns are rural communities. Small towns are in the countryside. They are far from cities. Small towns have fewer people than cities, and everybody knows their neighbors in a small town. Small towns might have just one store. There may be a post office, a bank, and a school. Do you live in a small town? Living in a rural community. Many people live and work on farms in rural communities. They drive to the store and the post office. Kids ride a bus to school. There are different ways to have fun in a small town. In a city, you might visit a big aquarium. In a small town, you might go fishing. What would you do in a small town? Suburbs are suburban communities. Suburban communities are called suburbs. Suburbs are smaller than cities, and they are bigger than small towns. There are neighborhoods full of homes in suburbs. There are schools, fire stations, police stations, and hospitals. And there are stores and gas stations. There are parks and other places to play. Do you live in a suburb? Living in a suburban communities. Many families live in suburbs. Some people live in houses, some people live in apartments. Lots of homes have yards. Most people drive cars in a suburb. People drive to work. They drive to shopping malls. There are lots of parking lots in suburbs. What else might you see in a suburb? Wrap up. There are different kinds of communities. People live in urban communities. People also live in rural and suburban communities.